I hope you guys are doing well. My name is Dr. Heather Moore, owner of Total Performance Physical Therapy. We're discussing shoulder impingement syndrome. So there's a lot of names that people like to call their shoulder pain, but this is a really popular one to have, and it usually precipitates a tendonitis, even a rotator cuff tear. So it's a pinching feeling. When you go to lift your arm over your head, you're going to get some pinch, usually right about here. It can go away. Sometimes it sustains itself throughout the entire range of motion. Generally, you don't get anything down here. So when you're talking about impingement syndrome, you have the bone up here and the bone here. And you're talking about actually them pinching this muscle, I'll touch you back here. But you're talking about them pinching the muscle as you move your arm. So that's why down here, there's a space here. There's a space in between this bone and this bone up top. And what happens is due to poor posture like this, weakness, tightness, all of the above, this space winds up getting closed. This space winds up closing itself off. And when that happens, you wind up with a pinching feeling. It can come when you go to put a jacket on. That's a really common time to have it happen. When you reach into the back seat, another time you can feel that pinching, that pain. For example, women go to hook their bras, men go to put their wallets in their back pocket, or women. So it's very common to have when you're moving and when that arm is in motion, when it's either going overhead or you're doing this type of rotation. Mostly this type of rotation, you're going to get that pain, you're going to get that pinching. It can send pain all the way down your arm. It is not associated with numbness and tingling. So while you may have impingement and something else going on, if you have impingement and you have numbness and tingling, there are two different things going on. So never is that a symptom of shoulder impingement syndrome. But what is happening is you're actually pinching that muscle and you're causing it to become irritated. This is a very common precursor to tendonitis, because what happens is as you pinch these muscles off that are going through this space, and this space is not very big, so it's very easy to sit like this and actually close that space off. Anytime you roll your shoulders forward or you're slumped forward, you're closing that space off. You may not feel it, but you're irritating it. You're just kind of needling that muscle a little bit. Nothing really likes to be pinched. Nothing likes to be squeezed. So as you're doing this motion, you wind up squeezing that muscle, pinching that muscle. Over time, it becomes irritated and it actually becomes inflamed. And that muscle that was a little bit smaller now is swelling. Again, you're not going to notice this other than it's going to start to be painful, because now instead you have this much room for that muscle to go through, and now it's swollen to the size of that space. So what happens is now as you start to move it, you may even start to feel that pain right down here. You wind up feeling pinching. You wind up feeling pain. Sometimes you can go all the way overhead and it hurts. A lot of times though, if you go over here and you wind up, it hurts, oh, it feels better, that's something different. So that's usually not impingement pain. Impingement's usually going to last and you're really going to get that pinching. What happens is as that muscle swells and as you wind up getting that tendon really swollen in there, you wind up actually starting to tear your rotator cuff. This is one of the reasons that I always say, make sure you consult a medical professional. Make sure you come in for a free consultation. We either offer them. All you have to do is call our office at 215-997-9898 and we'd be happy to get you in. Because if you ignore things long enough, simple fixes like fixing a shoulder impingement doesn't take that long, doesn't cost that much money, can become rotator cuff tears. That often involves surgery. You wind up missing work, you wind up missing activities because of that. So be aware of these little things that you may ignore, you could put off. It's not debilitating, but it doesn't feel great. That actually will lead to that cuff tear. That actually will lead to something much worse than just a little bit of impingement. So what can you do to minimize the impingement? What can you do when this starts? So the first thing you want to do is watch yourself in the mirror, and you actually want to watch yourself raise your hand overhead. So you want to roll your shoulders up, back, and drop them down. That's usually the first exercise I give because that's a posture correction exercise. Again, as I showed you, this type of activity, this type of slumping is going to close off that space there. So you want to roll your shoulders up, back, and drop them down, allowing for that shoulder to sit in its proper position. Then you want to watch yourself raise your arm overhead, and you want to do it nice and slow in a pain-free zone. What usually happens is a lot of times you're going to start to see this as you raise your arm overhead. So make sure you start with rolling your shoulders up, back, and dropping down, and then you're going to raise your shoulder overhead nice and slow. This is what you're looking for. You don't want to do this. This is a habit that happens that causes impingement to get much worse, that can cause that rotator cuff tear. So you just want to make sure your shoulder stays down and you raise it overhead. You want to repeat that about 30 times. You're retraining the muscles. It's not a workout. Your arm shouldn't be tired after doing this 30 times. It's not designed to be tired. It's designed to retrain your muscles, not to lift up. Any sort of movement upward is going to produce that squeezing, that pinching, that impingement. So you want to watch this, all right? Even if it's just a little bit of that, and then you go. Make sure that shoulder stays down the whole time, and you're able to lift that arm nice and slow and then back down without any pain. The next one you want to do is what we call a table punch. You're going to find a towel, put it on the counter. You want your arm to be straight, and then you want to push down. It's not this. You're not punching the table. You're just pushing straight down. All right? You don't want to do this on a hard surface, obviously, because it's going to hurt your hand. But you're just going to push down and then release. And push down and release. You want to hold 2 to 3 seconds, but nice and easy. You just want to keep pushing down and releasing. You don't want to do this. Okay? That's using your body and your obliques to do what your shoulder depressors, what we're trying to we're trying to strengthen the muscles that are going to hold your shoulders down and not allow it to creep up. You want to just push down and come up. Push down and come up. You're going to have a little bit of bend and flex in the elbow as you do that, but you don't want like a major punch. So push down, hold a couple seconds, come up. Push down, hold a couple seconds, and come up. The final exercise you want to do is you're just going to put your palms facing upwards, elbows at your side, 90 degrees, and you're just going to rotate your arms out, nice and slow. You're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together as you go back. All right, again, you want to avoid this motion, you want to avoid this motion. Okay, just nice and easy. Opening up that chest in the front and squeezing those shoulder blades together in the back, allowing for that proper opening to exist in where that shoulder is. Very important that you address shoulder impingement syndrome when it starts. Don't wait. I cannot stress that enough. I've seen it lead to tendonitis, rotator cuff tears, all is under the book, under the sun, that takes so much longer to get rid of than just a simple shoulder impingement. So really be aware that pain, that pinching, anything where you lift your arm overhead, it's not going to go away on its own. You do need to get help for it. If you or someone you know is suffering from shoulder pain and wants a free consultation with a doctor of physical therapy, all you have to do is call our office at 215-997-9898 and we'd be happy to get you in. Thanks and have a good night.